This gripping story begins at an awakening ceremony that took place in the square, where hundreds of future heroes flocked. They lined up to touch the awakening stone and find out their future profession. Among the students was an arrogant blond man, Philip, who openly mocked the everyday professions that the boys were receiving. He claimed that such professions were worthless and meaningless for a real fighter. While his guys were actively nodding along, a guy in a white hoodie nudged him in the shoulder. Philip's lackey flushed with anger, outraged that someone dared to touch his leader. However, the stranger briefly apologized and, ignoring the threats, continued walking towards the awakening stone. His indifference caused confusion among those around Philip, and Philip himself could barely contain his anger. Suddenly, one of his henchmen suggested that the stranger was of noble birth. The thought that a representative of a wealthy family might be standing in front of him sparked interest in Philip's eyes. As it turned out, it was Michael, the only survivor after his entire family was destroyed. Philip's servants immediately began to mock him, believing that a fallen genius had no place at such a ceremony. But Michael didn't react. He just grinned with calm confidence. He mentally called Philip a windbag and a weakling, not impressed by his so-called rare class. Walking up to the stone, Michael confidently placed his hand on it, ready to reveal his true strength and talent to the world. Suddenly, a golden light shot out from the awakening stone, blinding the audience and projecting the figure of a divine being. The crowd covered their eyes in panic from the too strong glare. Philip's henchmen were very frightened and began to ask their leader what it was. Some of them suggested that this guy was a real genius, since he was able to create such a bright light. Philip looked on with a distorted face, overcome with both anger and fear of being laughed at. Finally, the awakening stone revealed Michael's destiny. It was a hidden class, Beast Tamer. At first, everyone was amazed, but soon they were disappointed to learn that it was only the Beast Tamer. Philip, emboldened, came over to humiliate Michael again and make fun of his profession. He declared that a tamer without strong beasts was a non-entity, not even worthy of contempt. He then offered a humiliating deal, promising to give Michael the beast if he came crawling to him. Michael just chuckled silently, making it clear that Philip was just a show-off who only had his profession. A predatory smile appeared on his face as he noted that Philip would be perfect as a pet. Suddenly, Philip's eyes flashed red, and he lunged at Michael with a fistful of rage. But before the blow reached its target, the air was cut by a punch from a girl in a suit, crashing into Philip's jaw. He was thrown back, the blow so fast and powerful that it knocked him completely off his feet. A woman named Bella appeared before the boys, and she calmly stated that Michael was now under her protection. Philip, realizing that it was pointless to fight any further, gathered his retinue and hastily retreated. He acknowledged Bella's strength and promised himself to take revenge on Michael in the future. Then Bella turned to Michael and complimented him on awakening the hidden class. Then she suddenly grabbed him by the ear and scolded him for trying to sneak into the ceremony. Then she waved and finally released the guy from her tight grip. Afterwards, Bella handed Michael a credit card, hinting that his journey would be expensive. The woman advised him to focus on strength, since the new profession would require considerable expenses. Michael accepted the card gratefully and vowed in his heart that he would repay her kindness. But his overly solemn behavior caused Bella to become more angry. Later, the hero returned to his home, which was a rather modest dwelling in an apartment building. Entering the room, he took a deep breath, mentally preparing himself for the next step. Suddenly, a holographic screen flashed in front of him. The Divine Beast Tamer system activated. Michael remembered his past. He was the last survivor after a devastating invasion of beasts. The grief that befell the original owner of the body eventually drove him mad and brought him to his end. The current Michael moved into this body and received a unique system that finally began to awaken. Tears of joy ran down his cheeks because he had been waiting for this activation moment for 3 long years. His initial stats in class appeared on the screen, as well as his first task. But the system required a large sum of money to unlock the high power mode. Michael then decided to use Bella's map and test the limits of his abilities. After the transaction, he found himself in the star dimension, and the system announced to him that the task had been successfully completed. Moreover, he activated the cheat mode and unlocked a super rare beast for taming. Michael was presented with hundreds of animal cards from which he could choose one. He stood among them, knowing he could only choose one, and that choice would determine his path. Trusting his intuition completely, he pointed to a silhouette that looked like a girl with long hair. His hand reached out to the capsule, and it burst into a blinding light, awakening a new being. An insect-like creature with red glowing eyes appeared before him, his first beast. A moment later, a tiny ant was sitting on his finger. Then Michael realized with horror that he had just spent a fortune. But he didn't have time to be indignant, because the system forcibly entered into a contract and launched evolution. The ant began to transform and soon turned into a silver-haired woman in a battlesuit. Michael was dumbfounded at first, but then he realized that this particular beast would ensure his success in the exam. The next day, the students gathered at the Mountain of Shadows, where their first test awaited them. An instructor named Tyler announced that he would replace Bella, who had been urgently called on a mission, and the portal would teleport everyone to a zone according to their level. Michael stood calmly, showing no sign of excitement, with his first beast perched on his shoulder. Suddenly his friend Lucas came up to him to make sure Michael was okay. His profession was berserker, and so he offered to help the hero in capturing the starting beasts. However, Philip intervened in the conversation, chuckling at the thought that the beast tamer might need help. He approached with a sly grin, offering the beast in exchange for Michael acting like a dog. But Michael just calmly turned around and asked the bully to stop barking like a dog. Then Philip started laughing, not realizing that the joke was directed at him. His laughter stopped abruptly when he realized that he had actually insulted himself. Filled with anger, he jumped and prepared to deliver a powerful kick towards Michael's head. But the attack stopped in midair. Michael easily caught it with one hand, without moving from the spot. Philip recoiled in complete confusion, not understanding where the beast tamer got such power from. The instructor intervened in the conflict, angrily ordering Michael to enter the portal immediately. Lucas offered to go with him to keep him safe in the unknown zone. But Michael assured him that he could handle it himself, and headed toward the portal. Philip watched from afar, grinning smugly, because he had already agreed with the instructor about the sabotage. Tyler looked at Michael at this time, hiding his own goal, to eliminate his rival. He considered Bella his woman, and vowed to get rid of anyone who could stand in his way. When Michael stepped through the portal, he found himself in an ominous cave. He immediately sensed a problem and noticed a sign warning that the area was too high. Suddenly, a pack of glowing wolves emerged from the shadows, surrounding their prey. But Michael recognized them. They were storm wolves. Then he woke up his companion and mentally ridiculed the weakness of the instructor's plan. The beast burst into light, beginning its transformation. Suddenly, a silver-haired warrior in black and blue armor appeared from the glow, with antennae on her head like an ant. She confidently declared herself ready, and her impressive combat stats were displayed on the screen. The system then issued the first combat quest, which involved the heavenly horned ant. Then Michael, feeling a surge of power, grinned ominously. The warrior rushed forward, striking the first wolf with crushing force. In just a few seconds, she overcame the entire flock without experiencing the slightest difficulty. Her face remained calm, as if this was a warm-up and not a real battle. Michael watched in admiration, already imagining how strong she would become in the future. He opened the interface and noticed that he had reached level 6 in just a minute. Then suddenly the girl looked at him with wide eyes. Michael acknowledged her status as an ancient beast with a smile, knowing that he couldn't compare his characteristics to hers. However, he still patted her head affectionately, seeing her more as a naive girl than some kind of animal. Suddenly, she approached the hero, so close that he blushed. At this time, a group of mercenaries watched them from afar, surprised by the appearance of a woman. They whispered among themselves, admiring her beauty and strength. She was beyond all praise. The leader chuckled, saying that it would be a shame to simply kill such a woman. One of the mercenaries offered to distract her and kill Michael when the chance arose, but when he turned around, he saw something that horrified him. Behind him were the dead bodies of his comrades, and above them he saw that very warrior. Her eyes glowed an ominous red, and she asked why they wanted to harm her master. The leader realized in horror that she had silently killed all of his fighters. Trying to escape, he shouted to the others to catch Michael, but the beast was already rushing towards him at incredible speed. He tried to speed up, but didn't even notice the huge clawed paw of the monster in front of him. The monster's blow fell on him with such force that he was simply pressed to the ground, and he had no chance to get up. Michael, watching this, ordered the beast to stop, realizing how dangerous even this newbie zone was. Now he strongly doubted that the level of this zone was from 11th to 20th. And then, from the depths of the cave, a huge level 22 Stormwolf King appeared. The battered mercenary leader reached out to Michael, begging for help, still under the monster's paw. But the wolf trampled him without hesitation, instantly ending his suffering. Suddenly a new task appeared on the screen: to defeat the Wolf King. Having assessed the enemy, Michael suggested retreating, fully understanding the scale of the threat. But the beast girl next to him only smirked, her eyes seeming to light up with the thirst for battle. Seeing this, Michael threw caution to the wind and gave her the order to attack. The Wolf King immediately growled, opening his mouth, preparing to tear apart his impudent opponents. But the warrior did not flinch, catching his jaws with her bare hands. Gritting her teeth, she held back his powerful bite with her incredible strength. Then with a sharp push she threw the beast back, upsetting its balance. However, the wolf quickly recovered, used lightning movement and dealt a crushing blow. A huge explosion shook the cave, and Michael instinctively shielded himself from the shockwave, trying to stay on his feet. His beast staggered and dropped to one knee, temporarily stunned by the wolf's monstrous power. Then the Wolf King unleashed a furious hail of claws at her with incredible speed, intending to tear her to shreds. The silver-haired warrior gritted her teeth and struggled to fight off the enemy's relentless onslaught. Michael gritted his teeth, realizing that the difference in level was too great for a direct confrontation. But suddenly the wolf abruptly changed tactics and turned to Michael, deciding to finish off the weaker-looking target. He activated the ability, surrounding Michael with several phantoms. But he grabbed one of the ghosts, calling this prank a childish trick. He thanked the enemy for coming to be slaughtered himself. With one swift blow, he destroyed the second phantom, showing that all this chaos was just part of his plan. Michael's eyes flashed with determination as he prepared to destroy the next ghostly opponent. He demonstrated his incredible strength by tearing apart the phantom's mouth with his bare hands. The final blow destroyed the last illusion, and the system confirmed the completion of the quest. As a reward, he received beast points and immediately spent them to command his companion to use the new ability. Michael activated his newly acquired skill, unlocking a powerful new ability for his companion. The warrior once again took the form of a tiny ant and flared with a bright blue light, rushing towards the wolf. The Wolf King watched the miniature enemy in amazement, but still could not catch him. Meanwhile, the beast delivered a devastating series of blows, piercing the giant body through and through. In his new armored ant form, the beast looked menacingly at the enemy. Now he was not just a bug. The warrior then assumed a humanoid form and began to accumulate energy for the final blow. Then she shot into the air, turning into a deadly arrow. The attack ended in an explosion that completely destroyed the Wolf King. Michael froze in disbelief until the system confirmed the instant kill of the boss. His beast was breathing heavily from exhaustion, but at the same time its eyes were sparkling, full of wild delight from the fight. The system reported that the Storm Wolf King had left behind an exclusive weapon meant just for him. She also confirmed the end of the beast's furious attack. Suddenly the beast girl's furious gaze disappeared, giving way to delight. With a joyful squeal, she jumped into Michael's arms, demanding praise for a job well done. A deep blush spread across Michael's face as he tried to comprehend what these new sensations were. Then suddenly the beast looked at him with a tired look. Her eyelids began to droop, and her energy was running out. Suddenly she fell on the grass and instantly fell asleep there. Then Michael, relieved, laid her head on his lap, whispering words of gratitude and wishing her rest. While his beast slept, the protagonist was surprised to think how similar this world was to old video games. He then turned his attention to the system, eager to examine the spoils left behind. To his amazement, among the loot was a silver sword of rare quality called Wolf's Fang. The system also gave out a bronze ice staff, which is very useful for quick resale. With a smug grin, Michael decided to check his progress and see how much his level had increased. It turned out that he had already reached level 10, the maximum for the current rank. The system demanded a class upgrade, and the original plan to stay here for the sake of leveling up instantly lost its meaning. The hero's gaze slid over the unconscious mercenaries, and he realized that it was time to find out who organized all of this. A sparkle flashed in his eyes as he realized that his new fun life was just beginning. Meanwhile, a few hours later, Tyler was waiting for the students near the portal, with a team of healers behind him. While they were willing to help the returning students, Tyler knew that not everyone would be able to return. At that moment, Bella appeared on the field, surprising everyone, as they were supposed to have other things to do. Tyler informed her that they were just meeting some students and told her not to bother. He could handle it himself. But Bella felt that the instructor should have explained to her about Michael's test. The man then said that he knew about Bella and Michael's close relationship, but instructors should treat everyone equally. However, he could share some of his experiences with her if she would retire with him to a secluded place. But Bella wasn't going to listen to this nonsense. Holding a knife to Tyler's throat, she was still waiting for an explanation. The man tried to pretend that he didn't understand what she was talking about. But it was all in vain. Bella knew that Michael had just awakened as a beast tamer, and Tyler had sent him to the Silver Zone. But the instructor calmly explained that he had his own reasons for this. Michael wouldn't have been able to level up that quickly without difficulty, so he sent 3 assistants with him. Bella cooled down a bit, but was ready to ask Tyler if Michael didn't come back alive and well. She promised to cut off the part of Tyler's body that Michael would get injured in while he was there. And although the man chuckled, he cursed to himself that this bitch was only pretending to be tough. But he wanted to see how bold she would be when she saw Michael's corpse. He indulged in his fantasies, naively believing that the situation with Bella could still turn out in his favor. Their tense confrontation was interrupted by an unexpected announcement. The students began to return from the test. The first to come out was Abigail, a rare storm mage and one of the most talented students at the academy. Even Philip could not hide his admiration, recognizing her as the best of the best. He immediately tried to show interest in the girl, supposedly as a fellow genius, but Abigail easily dodged the attempted acquaintance. With a cold look, she made it clear that only the old Michael had ever been worthy of her attention. Then Philip, humiliated by her refusal, boiled with rage. At that moment, the next student emerged from the portal. It was Lucas, asking worriedly if little Michael had returned. Philip immediately pounced on him with ridicule, declaring that if he had survived, then Michael was definitely dead. Such a cruel mockery from the bully immediately caused a storm of anger in Lucas. He demanded that Philip repeat the insult, and he, of course, did so with pleasure. However, the instructor barked for silence, telling Lucas not to worry about others and to focus on himself. Without waiting for an answer, the instructor pushed him away, urging him not to interfere with the passage of others. Then Lucas turned away, stubbornly repeating to himself that his friend would definitely return. Meanwhile, Philip's confidants fussed around him, massaging his shoulders after the difficult test. Time passed, but Michael still did not appear, and Lucas's anxiety grew stronger. Philip's henchmen immediately began to laugh loudly, claiming that the beast tamer had died inside, and suddenly a small stone flashed through the air and flew straight at Philip's head, forcing him to finally shut up. Lucas's face immediately lit up with joy and relief. Michael finally emerged from the portal, smiling as he said that the number of noisy dogs was increasing. Then Lucas rushed forward, happy to tears, seeing that his friend was alive. From the side, Bella watched their reunion with relief. Instructor Tyler silently wondered how Michael had managed to survive the 3 mercenaries he had sent. He chalked it up to luck, intending to figure it out later. Then Philip tried to pull himself together again, and grinningly suggested that Michael had simply hidden to survive. But Lucas flared up with anger, accusing Philip of judging by himself. Philip just grinned, promising that the real coward would soon be revealed. He pointed at Michael, declaring that he was the definition of cowardice. However, the hero calmly stopped his friend and turned to Philip, asking if he had finished barking. He chuckled and declared that his skills were not even worthy of cleaning his beast's shoes. Then Philip became furious and immediately challenged Michael to a public bet. If he lost, he would kneel before him. Michael accepted the challenge with confidence, despite his friend's pleas to stop. He calmly asked the instructor not to interfere, calling it a personal duel. He agreed, reminding him that a bet made in public must be fulfilled. A sinister smile appeared on Tyler's face. He was sure that Michael was digging his own grave, and Bella watched everything from the side and immediately recognized the familiar gleam in Michael's eyes. He was clearly up to something. Then the instructor announced the start of the bet. Lucas stepped forward, showing off his 2nd level of Berserker Warrior. Philip mockingly showed off his 3rd level Greatsword Warrior, considering it proof of true genius. Then the crowd of his henchmen roared with delight as if he had already won. Lucas's face was distorted with horror. He didn't expect Philip to be so strong. Then the blonde turned to Michael, confidently declaring that the beast tamer could not surpass him. He approached and demanded that Michael and his friend kneel before him. At that moment, Lucas was ready to explode, but Michael held him back again. With a slight smile, he assured his friend that Philip's strength was of no importance. He stepped forward and a powerful stream of energy rose around him. The system showed level 10. At this point, the crowd was speechless. No one expected Michael to have such a high level. Philip froze, not believing what was happening. He didn't understand how the trash class could have a 10th level. He started yelling, accusing Michael of cheating, because even Abigail hadn't reached that level. But Michael just grinned and made a cryptic remark about the real power of hidden classes. He turned to the instructor, demanding that he acknowledge Philip's defeat and ensure that the bet was fulfilled. With a grin, he hinted that he should thank the assistants who tried to protect him. The instructor turned pale. He realized that Michael had survived, and now he had proof. Horror turned to rage, and he vowed to get rid of the boy before it was too late. Meanwhile, Abigail watched from the side, recognizing that the former genius had returned. Then she looked at her 5th level, confidently promising herself to catch up with Michael. Then Michael turned to Bella, smiling and asking why she had come back. She giggled and said that she simply couldn't miss such a moment. Then Lucas proudly declared to Bella that the main character was almost invincible. The silver-haired instructor raised an eyebrow in surprise at what she saw in front of her. Suddenly, Tyler attacked the hero from behind, trying to deliver a fatal blow. Bella reacted instantly, pushing Michael aside and taking the blow herself. She angrily stopped the shining fist and demanded an explanation as to why the teacher was attacking the student, breaking all the rules. Tyler hissed through his teeth that the rules of the academy meant nothing to him. He only increased the pressure by declaring that he was going to get rid of Michael, and the blow fell hard on Bella's defense. The woman was thrown back by the crushing impact and barely managed to withstand the onslaught of the instructor's power. With an icy glare, she delivered a powerful kickback, promising that as long as she was here, he would not dare harm Michael. The hero watched with growing concern, realizing that Bella was clearly inferior in strength. Suddenly, the instructor grabbed her leg in a furious manner, furiously accusing her of rejecting his feelings for Michael. He used his strength to turn her upside down. With a nasty grin, he held her by the legs, declaring that he would collect the interest. But suddenly a fist flew through the air, aiming straight at Tyler's face. Michael landed a powerful kick to his jaw, causing him to let go of the girl. He instantly caught Bella, preventing her from falling, and checked if she was okay. The teacher, slightly embarrassed, looked up at him, nodding that she was okay. Michael then turned to the fallen instructor and demanded to know the reason for the vile attack. The instructor struggled to his feet, admitting with hatred that he had sent 3 strong assistants, and none of them had returned. Suddenly, Philip's voice was heard from the crowd, accusing Michael of killing people for the sake of experiment. Tyler immediately took up the accusation, declaring that he would restore justice and punish Michael for his cruelty. But his pompous tirade was suddenly interrupted when something heavy fell in front of him. Michael calmly asked if this dead mercenary was one of his assistants. The instructor stared at the body in absolute shock, realizing that his subordinate was indeed dead. The next second, his panic was replaced by a malicious grin, because the dead cannot testify. He pointed at Michael, demanding to know how he was going to get out of this. But the hero calmly stated that he was simply being kind and bringing the body back from the mountains of shadows. He hinted that it was the instructor who doomed the people to death, pretending that he had nothing to do with it. Sitting down next to the body, the hero sadly said that the poor fellow had been used as a pawn. Such a blatant barb infuriated the instructor, his face distorted with rage. Losing his composure, he rushed forward, consumed by the idea of destroying Michael. Bella and Lucas screamed, but didn't have time to do anything. However, Michael remained in place, calmly stopping the powerful blow, as if it had not been there. Tyler then tried to justify himself, claiming that he was seeking revenge for his dead subordinate. Michael easily deflected the attack, and asked if this was truly revenge, or an attempt to silence the witness. Meanwhile, on the side, Philip and his henchmen were encouraging the instructor, hoping for a reprisal. Enraged, Tyler unleashed a barrage of fast punches, hoping to break through the defense. But Michael easily dodged each one, without allowing himself to be hit even once. Realizing that a direct fight was not yet winnable, he created distance and prepared for the next step. The hero understood that he had more than just his fists. He then summoned his weapon, the mighty ice staff he had received from the Thunderwolf King. The instructor was caught off guard when an icy wave caught his leg. Michael followed up with a powerful blow, sending his opponent flying towards a distant cliff. Michael then landed, realizing that the recent level up had given him a chance. It was time to release his true power. Although his own stats were impressive, his ancient beast, Eye, was far more terrifying. The tiny creature on his shoulder suddenly flared with energy. Her eyes lit up and her transformation began. She appeared in her battle form, with scarlet blazing eyes, full of desire to destroy the enemy. Throwing herself at the instructor, she coldly declared that she would destroy anyone who encroached on her master. Tyler's eye flashed with anger as he prepared to strike back. Their powers collided in a furious explosion of energy, red and blue auras fighting each other. Suddenly, a blinding flash forced the crowd to cover their eyes from the spectacle. I sent the instructor flying to the ground with one precise blow. Then Lucas screamed in delight, amazed by his brother's hidden ally. Bella watched in shock, stunned by the sudden appearance of the mysterious warrior. Meanwhile, Philip and his minions could not believe that their powerful mentor had been defeated. The ancient beast growled, her eyes blazing with rage, ready to finish off her enemy. But Michael intervened in time, reaching out his hand to stop his warrior. Her anger gave way to surprise, and she quickly came to her senses. Michael decided not to reveal her true power. It was too early to show that he had an ancient beast. Then I, smiling playfully, clung to his hand, saying what a good master he was, but he ordered her to return to her original form. She agreed with a joyful look. Then in an instant, I turned back into an insect and landed on his shoulder. Then the instructor jumped to his feet and started shouting again, accusing Michael of a bunch of new crimes. His eyes flashed with anger, and he swore that he would punish the negligent student. But his furious attack was interrupted by a shoe landing firmly on his shoulder. A grown man in a suit pinned him to the ground, warning him not to dare lie. Tyler looked up in obvious shock as a familiar figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It turned out that this person was the dean of the academy himself, Samuel, a powerful level 56 Demon Slayer master. The instructor then pointed his finger directly at Michael and angrily accused him of deliberately killing his assistant. He demanded fair punishment and insisted that Michael had tried to kill him too, and therefore had to answer for it. Pointing to the assistant's body in his hands, he presented it as irrefutable evidence and begged the dean to intervene immediately. But Michael snorted skeptically, showing complete disdain for these far-fetched accusations and ignoring the whole setup. The dean turned to Michael, who responded by suggesting that he personally examine the body to determine the real cause of death. The dean agreed without hesitation and raised the body in a shining sphere of energy, beginning a thorough investigation, studying every detail. Very soon he came to the conclusion that the fatal injuries were not inflicted by a person, but by a large and powerful animal. Despite this, Tyler stubbornly insisted that even if the beast caused the death, Michael was responsible for what happened. The hero mockingly praised Tyler's talent for shifting blame onto others, as if it were his main and only ability. He then accused the instructor of sending the man into an ambush to eliminate him, but the attempt failed. Bella then stepped forward and informed the dean that the instructor had previous experience setting Michael up. Trapped, the instructor desperately tried to prove his innocence. He said there was no evidence to support the student's claims. Samuel then calmly asked Michael if he had any evidence. Tyler chuckled to himself, confident that now that his people were gone, there were no witnesses left to confront him. Michael calmly explained why he was so confident in his position and summoned a holographic ball. Suddenly, 2 other mercenaries appeared in the clearing. They were alive, but were in captivity. This caused confusion among Bella and the protagonist's classmates. Michael revealed that the men had been spying on him, and that during a confrontation with the Thunderwolf King, one of them had died. He wondered out loud why the instructor needed to follow him, and who could be behind this plan. After this, he turned to one of the prisoners, hinting that he could tell the real truth. The mercenaries cracked under pressure and gave a full confession, revealing the instructor's plot to eliminate Michael. The source of their fear turned out to be ants. It was a spectacular and effective method of interrogation, using an ancient beast. Michael was secretly jubilant, realizing how easy it had become to obtain the truth this way. He turned back to the stunned instructor and calmly demanded an explanation for all his criminal actions. Enraged and exposed, Tyler cursed his subordinates and attempted to escape. However, his escape was instantly cut short by a glowing rune that appeared right in front of his face. A powerful lightning trap exploded from the ground, surrounding him and completely immobilizing him. Dean Samuel chastised him, reminding him of the unacceptability of abuse of power and harassment of students. By saying that Tyler would be brought before the academy, he made it clear that the situation was under control. Once the matter was settled, Bella took Michael's hand and suggested that they leave the scene. But their path was blocked by Abigail, who was looking intently at Michael. The girl demanded to know if he had really defeated the Stormwolf King. But the hero said that she had invaded his personal space and asked her to keep her distance. Taking his hand, she suggested that he could not have dealt with the monster without the help of the powerful beast. Abigail then stated that she wanted to have a training fight to see the power of this beast with her own eyes. Michael was somewhat stunned to realize that the cold and reserved student was actually obsessed with fighting. Then Bella intervened, interrupting Abigail's aggressive interrogation. The teacher reminded her that now was the time for relaxation, not competition. The 2 women stared at each other, but Bella still firmly rejected Michael's challenge to a fight. Caught between the 2 women, Michael awkwardly attempted to diffuse the tension and suggested that they all go and rest. However, his attempt to change the conversation was met with cold looks. Bella wondered to herself when Michael had become so popular with girls, something she had never suspected before. Once the tension had died down, Bella announced that it was time for her to leave and recommended that the students go home. But no sooner had she left than persistent Abigail caught up with Michael again, demanding an answer. In order to calm the girl down, he promised that their fight would definitely take place in the future, and was finally able to force her to retreat. Michael then wondered why Bella looked upset, assuming it was because he had secretly joined the challenge. His next stop was the Shadow Mountains trading post, where he planned to sell his valuable loot. He thought that selling the new equipment would cover his expenses and repay his debt to his sister Bella. The manager of the exchange office, Tony, approached him and asked to show him the equipment he intended to sell. Michael then summoned the ice staff and the wolf's fang handle, explaining where he found them. The manager stared in surprise at the high-quality items, which immediately attracted the hero's attention. He apologized for his reaction, and then asked if it was really Michael in front of him. The manager's expression warmed as he revealed that he was an old friend of Michael's father. He praised the boy's incredible strength, seeing it as a sign that the Lin family's honor would soon be restored. Then Michael gave a slight grin, deciding to use this new acquaintance to his advantage. Tony said he could rely on him, thinking to himself that he would try to bargain with this inexperienced young guy. After this, the men began to discuss the terms of the deal. Tony made a generous initial offer of $5 million, citing his friendship with Michael's father. But Michael countered, insisting that in business, personal connections should not affect price, and rare gear was worth much more. Then they entered into bargaining, discussing the final amount. In the end, Michael accepted the final offer with satisfaction, realizing that he had received an even better deal than he had expected. They shook hands, and the manager felt that he had been skillfully outplayed. Then the woman, Tony's assistant, handed Michael the payment and a VIP card, which gave him special status at the exchange office. Michael accepted the cards, and the manager urged him to return with new finds. Having finished his business, Michael decided to look through the magic scrolls at the same time. When the hero left, the manager was amazed at the incredible potential of the young man, who was clearly destined to become a star. The man was confident that in the future he would have many opportunities to work with this rising talent. When Michael returned home, he found a heavy armored truck near the entrance and a man standing next to it. Coming closer, the hero was surprised to recognize the guest as an old acquaintance of his family, the butler Liu, the manager of the Bai family. Then the butler greeted the young master. Michael nodded, acknowledging the long separation, and asked why the butler had come to their house. Liu revealed that Bella had gone into the diamond dungeon to catch a rare beast for him, but was punished and suspended. Michael was shocked to realize the enormous risk she had taken just to help him in a difficult situation. The butler then prepared to open the truck and added that he had also brought a message from Bella's grandfather. He informed Michael that now that the beast had been delivered, the Bai family's debt to them was fully repaid. With a stern look, he warned the young man not to have any more contact with their daughter. Michael was clearly stunned by the man's sudden change in mood. Clenching his fist, he firmly stated that he had never asked the Bai family for help, and had no intention of starting to do so now. Turning his back to the butler, he made it clear that he did not need the Bai family's help. However, the butler's eyes flashed, and he confidently stated that the Bai family's proposals could not be rejected. Suddenly, a golden aura flared up around him, and he rushed forward, intending to teach the young man a lesson. But Michael responded with lightning speed, a red glint flashing in his eyes. His own powerful aura flared up with renewed vigor, causing his opponent to truly panic. The butler was pushed back by an invisible pressure. He had absolutely no idea where this weak student got such incredible strength from. Liu couldn't believe that he was completely crushed and defeated by some youth. When the struggle was over, Michael casually tossed a bank card towards the stunned butler. He caught it, puzzled by such a gesture. Michael demanded that the butler return the money that was spent on Bella's ransom with interest. He does not intend to be in debt. He added that he should never cross paths with him again or try to interfere in his life. The butler, standing there in shock, could not understand how the son of a fallen family had gained such immense confidence and strength. Back in his apartment, Michael was finally able to digest all the events of the day. He lay down on the bed, feeling irritated that Bella's family had forced their presence on him anyway. Pushing away the annoying thoughts, he closed his eyes, intending to rest a bit before starting the important leveling quest. At that moment, his ancient little animal began to glow with a bright light. The little bug gently touched his cheek in support. Soon Ai appeared in her humanoid form, smiling as she leaned over the hero. She snuggled close to him, smiling gratefully for his efforts and care. The next day, Michael arrived at the Temple of Class Change, where a system message directed him to his assigned room. As he walked through the corridors, he heard the students discussing a beast tamer who had reached level 10 and managed to defeat the instructor. Michael realized that his fame had spread too quickly, and now he would have to be much more careful. He then entered a room where a huge blue crystal was floating in the center. It turned out that he was the one who was supposed to assign Michael a new quest. He reached out and placed his palm on the surface of the crystal, hoping that his level 10 quest wouldn't be too difficult. The crystal immediately displayed his mission. It was a 5-star quest to hunt thunder beasts in the ruins. Suddenly, the screen in the room showed the difficulty level of his task, causing amazement among everyone present. The crowd quietly talked among themselves in disbelief, realizing that before them was the legendary hellish quest. Michael, covering his face with his hand in irritation, lamented his fate, which had befallen him with such a difficult task. But then Michael stretched with relief, glad that the system had not revealed his identity, protecting him from unnecessary attention. Having received the assignment, he decided not to put the matter off for long and began preparing for departure. The story moves to the ruined sites. It was an abandoned land with ancient ruins. In these ruins, there was a mercenary camp where soldiers gathered near military equipment. One muscular mercenary, lying in a chair, complained about the lack of work and the rapid reduction of his financial reserves. Suddenly his gaze caught movement nearby. It was Michael. He calmly entered the camp, immediately attracting the attention of all the mercenaries around. Another group of mercenaries noticed him, and their leader looked at the young man appraisingly, as if he were a potential target. A muscular man called out from afar, asking if the young man had come on some mission. He confidently offered his group's services, even promising a special discount to win their favor. But Michael paid no attention to him, rejected the offer and calmly continued on his way, leaving the mercenary in complete amazement. The stubborn mercenary tried to stop him, offering to waive the payment altogether in order to start a friendship. But Michael's hand instantly grabbed the man's wrist with incredible force. The hero's eyes lit up, and he threateningly warned the mercenary to retreat and not to enter into conflict. With one movement, he sent the mercenary to the ground. Michael immediately realized that mercenaries offering their services for free were not looking for friends at all, but only wanted to find easy prey for robbery and murder. The defeated mercenary watched Michael with fury, swearing revenge for the humiliation. However, as soon as he was about to pursue the young man, he was stopped by a woman, the leader of the group. She reminded her subordinate that they could not take any action under the supervision of security. The mercenary leader chuckled, vowing to deal with Michael as soon as he left the outpost's safe zone. Meanwhile, Michael went deeper into the desert lands, surveying the gloomy landscape. He decided it was time to call for reinforcements and summoned his beast girl, Ai. She appeared in her humanoid form, and the hero promised her that today she would get a worthy fight. Suddenly, the system announced a new boss-level mission, hunting the Thunder Apostle to obtain the Thunder Heart. Michael smiled, realizing that the reward was a valuable item that could greatly strengthen his beast. Not knowing the exact location of the target, he decided to purchase information from Tony at the exchange office. He informed his companion that they would first take on the rank-up quest, and she agreed. However, their path was blocked by a flock of ferocious, wolf-like level 15 thunder eagles. But I easily held their position, delivering a powerful blow that sent the entire flock flying. Unable to penetrate her defense, the thunder wolves turned their attention to Michael. Then the hero grinned, took out the magic scroll and released its power. Suddenly he summoned a huge fireball, intending to try it on the wolves. He even chuckled that grilled thunder beast meat should be very tasty. At that moment, the wolves froze in horror, clearly not expecting such a powerful attack. A massive attack of fireballs rained down on the enemies, covering them in a series of explosions. The remaining wolves tried to escape, but Michael had reached maximum level and could not gain experience until he completed the quest. Then he took out new scrolls and ordered his companion to finish off the animals. I immediately began to carry out the order, and soon all the wolves were defeated. The battle ended and Michael checked his loot, satisfied with the effectiveness of the expensive scrolls. He looked over his beast girl's stats, noting that she had reached level 15, but regretting the lost experience for himself. Taking out his phone, he received a message from the manager of the exchange office with the requested information. The message indicated the location of the target and contained a warning of high difficulty. Undeterred, the hero informed his battle-ready companion that it was time to head to the next target. From afar, the mercenary leader watched them, her eyes sparkling with greed. When a subordinate asked if it was time to attack, she ordered him to wait. They had to wait until their target was tired from the fight and collected more trophies. Soon the hero and I found the target, a level 17 Thunder Apostle, sleeping peacefully in the middle of the wasteland. Michael assessed the beast's strength, finding it far less impressive than that of the Wolf King. He allowed I to quickly finish off the enemy, and she happily rushed into battle. At that moment, the Apostle woke up, letting out a furious roar. But I immediately delivered a powerful blow, hitting the target. She then assumed her miniature insect-like form and disappeared underground. The Apostle, confused, began to look for her. Then she burst out from underground in human form and dealt the decisive blow from below. Then Michael received a trophy, the glowing heart of thunder. After that, he dropped a huge block of ice right on the monster. When the boulder pierced the monster, the system confirmed Michael's victory, but again did not award experience. Michael then noted that the task was completed, and complained about the enemy's unexpected endurance. He was pleased with the 300 beast points, which he decided to spend on awakening his companion's new talent. The girl was enveloped in a powerful blue glow, and the system confirmed the activation of the skill, increasing her defense by 20% permanently. Then she thanked the owner with a strong hug. However, they were interrupted by the mocking voice of the mercenary leader, who mockingly assessed Michael's skills. The red-haired girl explained that to survive, you need not only strength, but also intelligence. Michael just grinned and reminded the bald mercenary that he had promised to help him without commission. Then the man shouted furiously at him, demanding that the hero give up all the treasures, otherwise he would not leave here. But Michael only mockingly asked if they were afraid of being caught by security. However, the leader stated that they were in a dangerous zone where patrols did not go. Therefore, his death will simply be attributed to an animal attack. Then her subordinates demanded Michael's companion for themselves, and she agreed. At that moment, Michael's beast girl disappeared. Suddenly, she attacked the leader from behind. Grabbing her hand, she dealt with the entire group with incredible speed. The leader herself, Ai, was thrown far to the side. The remaining mercenaries opened fire on the girl, hoping to hit her with their weapons. But the bullets bounced powerlessly off the activated Ironbone's defensive ability. Then the leader tried to retreat. However, in an instant she was roughly pinned to the ground. Michael stood over her with a magical scroll from which electrical discharges emanated. The next moment, he summoned a destructive stream of lightning that covered the entire group. The surviving mercenaries looked at their fallen comrades, realizing that they had gotten into a fight with two real monsters. The bald man whispered to the woman, certain that Michael had run out of magic scrolls. Filled with confidence, he stated that without the scrolls, Michael was an easy target. Meanwhile, Michael looked down on the kneeling mercenaries. Mocking their futile attempt at resistance, he showed them a fresh supply of magic scrolls. He demanded that they give him everything they had stolen, offering a tiny chance of salvation. With a grim grin, he warned that he would now demonstrate what a lack of powerful force was. Having dealt with the mercenaries, Michael returned to the Temple of Class Change. The receptionist remembered the unlucky but attractive student, confident that his hellish quest would take weeks. But her thoughts were interrupted when she looked up and, in complete shock, recognized a familiar face. Michael calmly announced that he had already completed the task. The girl stuttered and expressed disbelief, convinced that she had misheard, and that his statement was simply impossible. Trying to pull herself together, she quickly flipped through the papers, asking if he needed information about the quest. But his calm confirmation of his words completely confused her. The girl then rushed to book a room for him for the final procedure. Michael waved his hand lazily and walked away, leaving the stunned receptionist to stare after him. She wondered if he was bluffing, since completing the mission so quickly seemed impossible. Suddenly, a notification announced the completion of the 5-star quest, and the girl realized that the guy was telling the truth. The crowd exploded in bewilderment, wondering where such a powerful expert had come from in their city. The next system message confirmed his success, officially awarding him a second-class promotion. Meanwhile, the hero interacted with the holographic interface, completing the class change procedure. Soon the system notified him of his new class. Animal Trainer Scientist. Michael felt a surge of energy, pleased with his new promotion. Michael chuckled, intrigued by the potential of the new abilities, especially the ability to copy skills. He activated the Lightning Wings skill, flying high into the air in amazement. Flying effortlessly, he admired the fact that he had obtained such a rare ability at an early stage thanks to his hidden class. He smiled, knowing that the ability to copy skills would be decisive in key battles, despite the 5-minute limit. He then turned his attention to the next reward, intending to choose another powerful skill. The system offered 3 options, but he was drawn to the one that acted as a personal hazard warning system. He noted that this skill of detecting malicious fluctuations could completely prevent the mercenary ambush. But suddenly Michael received another notification. The quest required catching a second beast, but this gave the hero a chance to try out new skills. He thought about his weaknesses, deciding that he needed a beast with powerful area attacks. With a new goal, the hero went to his friend Tony. Michael soon returned to the exchange point, ready to sell more trophies and gather information. The manager greeted him with amazement, wondering what treasure he had brought this time. Michael pointed to the mountain of equipment, explaining that he had met generous people along the way. Then the manager snapped his fingers, ordering his assistants to immediately evaluate what had been brought. As Michael watched the assessment, he noted to himself that the mercenaries' equipment was much more valuable than the trophies from the monsters. Tony soon returned to him with an impressive sum, and promised an immediate transfer of 13 million. After receiving the money, Michael gently asked for a recommendation regarding a strong beast with the lightning attribute. The manager thought for a moment, turning Michael's VIP card over in his hands. His eyes widened as he remembered the perfect option. With a confident click, he reported a rumor of a rare, high-quality Thunderbird in the nearby forest. Michael's eyes lit up, because this beast was exactly what he needed. Tony admitted that he had no other information. But then the woman brought a small box with a special item. Inside lay a feather, crackling with energy. It was a magical compass, glowing near the beast. Having assessed its value, Michael immediately decided that he had to get it. But the manager stopped him with a smile, reminding him that even for VIP clients the buying and selling rule applies. With a sly grin, he named an exorbitant price of 1 million for the pen. Michael winced, realizing that this was a robbery. But this clue was also priceless. Then he reluctantly agreed to the deal, smiling tensely and accepting the manager's offer. Holding his new find, Michael justified his expenses, confident that the investment would pay off. Meanwhile, the story moves to the Thunder Forest, a low-level area filled with electrical storms. Michael headed into the thicket, irritated by the memory of the manager's hint that the pen only worked within a radius of 10 meters. He was furious when he realized that a $1 million piece of evidence was practically useless if he needed to be so close to the target. Resigned to the failed deal, he decided to continue on his way, confident that his companion Ai would cope with any threat. The hero thought about acquiring stronger animals. He imagined a future where he could conquer even the most difficult zones if he had another beast. However, Ai caught his thoughts, and her expression clearly showed her dissatisfaction with his plans. She appeared in the form of a girl, demanding an explanation as to why he needed another companion if he already had her. Their squabble was suddenly interrupted by a desperate cry for help that echoed throughout the forest. They noticed a young girl running in panic from a huge beast shrouded in lightning. The beast turned out to be a level 19 thunder leopard, its eyes glittering with a predatory gleam. The girl, who turned out to be Sally, a level 10 tracker, understood that the predator was about to catch up with her. Her desperate attempt to escape was cut short when she tripped over a root and twisted her ankle awkwardly. She fell to the ground, and all hope of salvation was instantly dashed. Resigned to her fate, she closed her eyes and prepared to take the final blow. But the attack never came, and she opened her eyes in confusion. Michael caught the beast in mid-air and threw it aside with one powerful blow. Then Sally stared at him in complete amazement, unable to believe such a sudden turn of events. He calmly asked if she was okay as she watched the stranger easily defeat the leopard. In a panic, Sally quickly warned him to run, underestimating the boy's true strength. But Michael just grinned, calling the formidable beast an ordinary big cat. He confidently stated that she shouldn't worry, as the leopard would be dealt with now. Meanwhile, his armored beast intercepted the leopard that had jumped again. The insectoid warrior unleashed a devastating attack on her enemy. She easily suppressed the resistance of the storm leopard. Michael watched the fight, impressed that his companion had become even more ferocious in this form. The rescued girl could not understand where another such strong beast came from. Then the hero checked to see if she was injured. Michael then extended his hand, asking if she could get to her feet. Sally, still in a panic, grabbed his arm, trying to pull him away while the beast was distracted. Her words were cut off as the storm leopard was thrown back again by a powerful blow. I looked at her with a dark expression, annoyed that she tried to take his master away. Realizing that the fight was over, the hero stopped and praised the beast for his brilliant work. Michael stroked his companion affectionately, promising to reward her later. Meanwhile, Sally was completely confused, trying to comprehend what was happening. To dispel her confusion, the beast began to shrink, returning to a less frightening form. Michael calmly introduced himself as the Beastmaster, explaining that she was his companion and that there was no need to fear her. Suddenly, Sally remembered the rumors about the legendary Beastmaster with a secret class. She questioned the stereotype of the Beastmasters being weak, wondering how a small ant could defeat such a strong leopard. I glared furiously, and then used an attack that bounced off Sally's face to teach her a lesson. Michael intervened to calm his irritated companion, who was still angry. He then turned to Sally, asking why a person of her caliber was wandering alone in such a dangerous place. The girl introduced herself by name, complaining that she was unlucky and had been given a high-difficulty promotion task. Michael calmly informed them that he too was searching for the legendary Thunderbird that was rumored to exist in the forest. Then Sally's eyes lit up and she named her Pathfinder class, offering her skills in gratitude for the rescue. Michael chuckled to himself, realizing that her abilities were the perfect solution to his current problem. They quickly formed an alliance, and Sally confidently promised that she could lead him straight to his goal. However, she admitted that her skills required an item from the beast to pinpoint its location. Michael then pulled out an expensive feather clue, asking if it was suitable for tracking. She confirmed that the pen was perfect, but warned that her skill could damage the valuable item. But the hero dismissed her fears, telling her to use it, since it was only needed to find the target. With his permission, she activated the tracking skill, channeling energy into the shining feather. Her eyes widened, glowing as she successfully located the beast. Following the magical beacon, they went deeper into the dark and gloomy storm forest. But Michael suddenly stopped, sensing with his new skill the danger from the large group of animals ahead. Sally looked at him for directions, unsure of which way to go with so many enemies blocking her path. Then I suggested going around the danger zone, but Michael had other plans. Michael then released his impatient companion onto the unsuspecting flock. He watched with satisfaction as the system recorded multiple monster kills. In human form, I easily tore apart a horde of beasts with her devastating strength. After the battle, she waved to Michael, confident that her master would be proud of her work. Meanwhile, Sally stood frozen, looking at the devastation, not believing that the tiny creature had cleared the way for them so easily. Suddenly, Michael felt a surge of power as the system confirmed that he had reached level 11. Their forward progress was interrupted when I suddenly pushed the pink-haired girl, causing her to fall. Michael then calmly ordered his companion to return to her reduced form, and she willingly complied. Meanwhile, Sally looked around in panic, fearing another ambush. She froze again in bewilderment, trying to understand how a tiny insect could have such power. Then she breathed a sigh of relief, deciding that the creature was a harmless ant that had only scared her. But when she looked closer, she noticed the tiny animal's intense gaze, but decided that it was just her imagination. A still did not calm down. She warned her new companion to stay away from her master. However, Sally dismissed her doubts, deciding that the creature was too cute to be dangerous. Enchanted, she reached out to stroke the tiny companion perched on Michael's shoulder. I waved her paws in panic, silently begging her owner to intervene. Then Michael pulled away, warning Sally that I didn't like being teased. He then pointed ahead and sent his beast girl to clear a path through the dangerous gorge. Soon, the status screen confirmed that he had reached level 15, and Michael knew that his next career move was near. He checked on the sleeping eye, noting that her efforts had paid off. She was now a level 18 beast. Meanwhile, Sally noticed that their journey was much more grueling than she had expected. Amazed at their progress, she looked at the defeated beasts and said that they had practically conquered the entire forest. Then she joyfully pointed ahead, confident that she could now lead them straight to their goal. But I suddenly became alert, sensing an unusual presence ahead. Michael guessed that if his ancient beast was alert, they must be approaching something incredibly powerful. Finally, they spotted their prey, a majestic level 13 Thunderbird, sparkling with electrical energy. Michael smiled greedily, realizing that catching this rare beast would be the main prize of the day. Suddenly, the bird's eyes widened in alarm, and the beast soared into the sky, flying away from the hunters. Sally sighed in despair, believing that their flying goal was now out of reach. But Michael only grinned, amused by her suggestion that he was chained to the ground. He activated his new skill, lightning wings, and dazzling wings sprouted from his back. He took to the air, quickly closing the distance, and the stunned Thunderbird realized that it was being followed. The hero tried to lure her with an interesting offer and even promised her food and shelter. However, the bird had no intention of surrendering, so it flew away. Michael was a little disappointed by such a strong reaction from her, but this beast was quite interesting, so he flew after it, ordering Sally to wait for him below. The girl had no desire to sit alone, but she had no choice. Meanwhile, the hero caught up with the bird, and once again offered it to surrender voluntarily and become his beast. Michael barely managed to grab the bird by the tail, but it flew away again. Suddenly she spread her wings and began to emit bright lightning, trying to defend herself. Michael noted her courage. She was unable to run away, so she decided to fight to the end. In that case, he was ready to force her to submit by force. The hero immediately copied her skill, after which he dealt the bird a furious blow with his fist. Grabbing her by the neck, he used a spell to finally form a contract with the beast. And although her stats were pretty weak for level 13, with his system it wasn't a problem to level her up. Then the hero decided to return the beast to the ancient blood and transfer it into the second form, the goddess of thunder. Now Michael felt like there was a real beast in front of him. He raised her level to 18, and her thunderstorm skill also became stronger. After this, the beast girl sank to the ground and greeted her master. Now she became submissive. Michael was so struck by her appearance that he stood there with his mouth open for a moment. At that moment, I also assumed her human form, looking at the new beast with displeasure. The Thunderbird was also not happy to see this pathetic ant. She clearly considered herself much superior to her. But Michael didn't want the girls to fight, so he gently asked I to give in a little, like an older sister. After this, he turned to the bird, who was very eager for his master to give her a name. Michael thought about her thunderous nature, and also a poem came to mind that would suit her. So, he decided to name the girl Tiana, and she really liked this name. It was surprising to the hero that such a sweet and gentle girl possessed such a wild technique. He was interested in trying it out, and now was just the right time to do it. Meanwhile, Sally was still sitting in the forest, waiting for Michael to finally return. As it turned out, there was a small barbarian camp not far from them. Sally had a mission to complete there. She needed to kill the leader of the camp, and she asked Michael for help with this. Since the girl helped him find the Thunderbird, he agreed to help her in return without question. He also wanted to test Tiana's strength, so he immediately ordered her to show what she was capable of. The bird immediately soared into the sky, releasing lightning bolts from its wings. The next moment she assumed her human form. Preparing to attack, Tiana summoned her skill, Thunderstorm Hail. At that very moment, the sky opened up right above the barbarian camp, sending lightning bolts down on their homes. Below, the tribe of barbarians looked up, not understanding what was happening in the sky. Michael watched the scene, realizing that the bird's powerful attack would destroy the weak barbarians. He calmly ordered his target to concentrate a huge force and hit only the barbarian leader. Tiana immediately rushed forward, willingly accepting Michael's command. A huge bolt of lightning from the heavens struck the ground with precision and force, the attack covering the barbarian leader in a blinding flash of energy. The chief tried to resist, but was already under the influence of the electrical storm. Suddenly, Tiana appeared in front of the stunned leader, watching him with an interested smile. Before the man could react, his body was pierced by electrical energy. Meanwhile, Sally watched from the bushes, worried about the progress of the battle, and offered to help. But her sentence was cut short when she was amazed to see an incredible scene. The Thunderbird was already sitting over the fallen leader, whose body was still smoking from the electric shock. Michael then turned to Sally, offering her the final blow to complete her own quest. She finished off the barbarian leader with a knife strike, and the system confirmed the successful completion of the mission. The girl then turned to Michael, shyly thanking him for helping her succeed. She enthusiastically offered to be his guide around the city, wanting to thank him for saving him. However, Michael politely declined, stating that her help in finding the bird was already payment enough, and turned to leave. Sally watched him go for a while, hoping for a new meeting. Walking through the forest with two powerful companions by his side, Michael reflected on his incredible luck and planned the next route of pumping. But his thoughts were suddenly interrupted by an unexpected notification. He took out his phone and saw an incoming call from his friend Lucas, who was wondering why he had contacted him so suddenly. Without thinking twice, he told the hero about the urgent news. He told him about the illusory reality. It was a high-tech combat simulator full of fearsome virtual beasts. Lucas explained that it is a virtual arena where fighters can fight simulated monsters and other awakened ones. This military object perfectly simulates any battlefield for intensive training. He clarified that experience is not given here, but it is an ideal place to learn new skills and tactics. When the hero returned to his place, Lucas proudly announced that he had managed to push Michael into the program. However, Michael understood that although his animals were strong individually, they lacked cohesion. He imagined how his two companions would finally start working together, and then he would gain invincible strength. Soon after receiving the address on his phone, Michael thanked his friend for the invaluable opportunity. Finally, Lucas joked that the hero should not forget about him when he becomes famous. The next morning, Michael was awakened by a loud alarm clock. He opened his eyes to see I happily greeting him while lying on his chest. He was even more surprised when he realized that the Thunderbird was also next to him, hugging him tightly. Then I angrily turned to her rival, accusing her of strangling their master. Their argument quickly turned into a childish squabble, and Michael didn't know how to calm the girls down. He covered his face with his hand in frustration, realizing that getting the two powerful satellites to cooperate was his most urgent task. He soon arrived at a high-tech center, where a guide confirmed his identity and directed him to the simulation capsules. The girl explained that you can get rewards for completing dungeons, and the hero hoped that the military prizes would be worthwhile. With two companions on his shoulders, Michael entered the simulation capsule, ready to begin training. The system scanned his profile, confirmed his identity, and recommended the silver difficulty level. Then the hero, without further ado, chose the recommended level, ready to train with his companions. The download completed, completely immersing him and his companions in a high-tech simulation. Michael soon found himself transported to a massive sunlit coliseum within the illusory world. His first test was a pair of massive ghostly wolves that appeared in the arena. He chuckled, recognizing them as level 13 beasts, familiar opponents he had faced before. Wanting to prove her importance, I rushed forward, deciding to show her rival who was the better companion here. With one crushing blow, she sent the ghostly beast rolling across the arena. After a quick victory, she turned around and mockingly gave Tiana the middle finger, challenging her to do something better. Thunderbird snorted, unimpressed that her rival was proud of defeating a weak opponent. Deciding to demonstrate her own power, she summoned a crackling ball of pure energy. After that, the girl released a powerful explosion, showing I what real power is. Michael tried to intervene, but his two companions refused to cooperate with each other. Suddenly, the remaining wolf took advantage of the moment and pounced on the distracted Michael. But the hero abruptly threw him back with one blow of his fist. It didn't even seem funny to him anymore. Seeing the danger to their master, both animals instantly forgot their quarrel and rushed towards him with alarm. They realized that their petty rivalry had almost harmed their master, and vowed to focus on the fight. Suddenly, the system announced a third wave, summoning a pack of even stronger level 20 ghost wolves. A system warning made it clear that while the simulation was safe, the pain felt very, very real. The wolf then rushed at Michael, while he was thinking that the weakness of the Beastmaster was the lack of fighting power. But his fists sparkled with strength, because he had come here to overcome precisely this weakness. The hero met the attack head-on, delivering a powerful blow straight to the wolf's jaw. The ghostly beast was thrown far beyond the arena. The girls looked at the hero in admiration, forgetting about rivalry and continuing to praise their master. Michael grinned, showing that he had put all his stat points into raw strength. Suddenly, an enraged pack of wolves began to bark in unison, making it clear that the real battle had just begun. Then Michael ordered his companions to release all their power. I activated Berserker mode, and Tiana turned on acceleration. Despite their rivalry, the two beasts reluctantly agreed to fight together for their master's sake. The hero watched with interest as the wolves dealt with the fighting skills of his companions. The two beast girls charged into battle, unleashing their combined power on the pack of wolves. Meanwhile, outside the simulation, other players were finishing their training. A group of students admired Philip's performance, regretting that one of the students, Sarah, missed his display of strength. Then the guys approached her and suggested that they join forces for the next session. But Sarah refused, saying she preferred to work alone. Then Philip grinned, confident that he could conquer the girl with his skills. Suddenly, his group was stunned by a notification that someone was currently completing the dungeon at record speed. They turned to the public screen, which announced that a user named Michael was about to set a new record. The boys assumed that this Michael was a secret child prodigy from a powerful family. Sarah wondered if this was the Beastmaster from their school, but Philip mockingly dismissed the idea. Suddenly, a system announcement confirmed that Michael had officially broken the old record. Inside the simulation, Michael and his companions stood among the defeated ghostly beasts. The hero smiled as he read the system notification with a congratulation and a reward. A new powerful crowd control skill. He looked at the new skill book, pleased with the reward, and already planning to conquer the gold-level dungeon. After leaving the simulation capsule, the hero returned to the high-tech training center. Walking calmly through the lobby, he was unaware of the commotion he had created. Meanwhile, the crowd was buzzing with excitement, wanting to know who the new record holder was. The hero tried to leave quietly, irritated that the system had publicly announced his name and destroyed his privacy. But unfortunately, Sarah recognized him. She said that the record holder turned out to be the same Beastmaster from their school. Meanwhile, Philip looked at him with envy, furious that Michael had stolen his attention. Meanwhile, in the military control center of the illusory world, his speech attracted the attention of high-ranking officials. The operator reported the anomaly to his superior, explaining that the beast scientist had just broken the dungeon record. The replay showed Michael's incredible speed, clearing the waves so quickly that even some of the third transition users couldn't keep up with him. The military commander stated that a talent like Michael with such personal power should be recruited. He ordered a full background check of the young prodigy, and a complete dossier to be prepared by the following morning. Back in class, Lucas enthusiastically told his classmates about his incredible achievements. Their conversation was interrupted by a sharp sound of the door. It was Philip, who kicked the door down. He burst into the classroom, demanding that Michael show himself immediately. Michael's friends only laughed at him, teasing Philip about his past humiliation at training. But he thought that Michael's record was an accident. He was furious that he stole Sarah's attention. Then Lucas said with a smile that Michael had already left to train for his third career transition. The news of the third crossing stunned Philip's team, raising doubts about Michael's true strength. Before leaving, Lucas once again mocked Philip for relying on family ties. Then the humiliated blonde pointed a trembling finger at Michael's friends, vowing revenge on them. He furiously promised to crush both Michael and his defenders as soon as he returned. Meanwhile, the story moved to the Shadow Mountains Ridge, where a powerful energy erupted from the ground. Michael faced a horde of powerful beasts, ready for his next challenge. He gave a thumbs up as the system notifications confirmed his experience gains, bringing him closer to his third career transition. His Beast Girl Eye celebrated her victory with an enthusiastic hug, proud that she had killed the most beasts. Not to be outdone, Tiana moved closer and boasted that she had destroyed even more enemies. Their rivalry flared up again. They argued about the number of people killed. Michael meanwhile pondered their progress, realizing that the silver-level beasts were now just a warm-up for his powerful companions. With a confident grin, he announced the next location, the gold-level training area. Hiding in the bushes, they immediately noticed the first task, a colony of level 21 lizards with poisonous stripes. Michael's eyes narrowed. The dangerous pack was the perfect chance to test their limits. He led the girls in a coordinated attack, sending Ai to the front lines and Tiana to attack from the air. But instead, Ai rushed forward, driven by rivalry and determined to surpass Tiana. The lizard instantly attacked her, spraying a stream of powerful poison straight at the reckless beast girl. The toxic stream hit her right in the face, catching her off guard. Ai retreated, her movements slowing as the poison began to take effect. A system notification confirmed that she was paralyzed and rapidly losing health. Michael watched with alarm, realizing that the poison was much stronger than he expected, and his companion was in danger. Taking quick action, he ordered Tiana to finish the fight with a decisive lightning strike. She complied, summoning a destructive lightning storm from the sky. A massive electrical explosion engulfed the entire lizard colony in a blinding flash. The hero realized that her powerful but unpredictable attack could not hit the fast lizards, who easily dodged the blows. An idea sparked in his head, because he had a crowd control skill book that he had obtained in the simulation. He learned the skill Magic Thorn Vines, which can summon paralyzing vines to trap all nearby enemies. Michael chuckled, knowing that this crowd control would help improve the satellite's accuracy. Without thinking, he absorbed the book's power, thereby learning a new skill. A system notification confirmed his new skill, and the hero confidently declared that the fun days of lizards were over. He slammed his palm on the ground, releasing a new skill and summoning thorn vines from the ground. Following him, Tiana released a devastating lightning storm, destroying them. Not willing to give in, Ai jumped back into the fight to get her share of the kills. The noise attracted a new threat, but Michael was only happy with the huge increase in experience, which raised him to level 19. He chuckled, calculating that defeating the new beasts would allow him to reach the next level. He ordered his companions to quickly end the fight. At that very moment, the girls eagerly rushed into battle with the powerful tigers, now both level 20. Realizing that further farming was pointless, Michael decided to prepare for the third transition quest. He soon arrived at the Temple of Career Change, surprised to find himself back for a promotion so soon. Carefully touching the crystal, he hoped that this wasn't another 5-star quest. A system notification echoed throughout the center, announcing a new 5-star mission, shocking the players in the hall. The girl at the reception sighed with regret, realizing that the legendary pumping maniac Michael was back at it again. Meanwhile, the hero grabbed his head when the quest details revealed a complex task with a ghost ship and collecting materials. That same night he arrived at a deserted pier, the site of a new assignment. Michael sighed, realizing that his plans for a good rest were ruined by the urgent deadline of the mission. Suddenly, his beast girls appeared in human form, competing for his attention and promising to protect him. Pulling himself together, he told his companions to get ready, as the target was about to appear. As if on cue, a ghostly ship materialized from the misty waters. Then the hero remembered the legends about the ghost ship, a popular but incredibly dangerous dungeon. The ship was known to scare away testers, and its ghostly crew was guarded by unknown horrors. Suddenly, a ghostly apparition jumped out of the ship, catching Michael off guard. He threw a punch, but his fist passed through the ephemeral creature without causing any harm. The spirit seemed to mock him from afar, taunting him with his outdated attack. Then Michael hissed in irritation, offended by the creature's mockery. Deciding to teach the spirit a lesson, he activated his lightning wings and soared into the air. He easily dealt with the ghost, but a system notification confirmed that he did not receive any experience due to the level cap. Michael hovered in mid-air, remembering that lightning was deadly to ghosts, but was annoyed that killing was useless for the experience. Realizing that time was against him, he decided to quickly complete the mission before his patience ran out. He hovered above the ghost ship as a horde of ghostly minions emerged to protect him. Michael then firmly ordered Tiana to release her power and clear the way. She immediately summoned a devastating lightning storm, instantly destroying the squad of ghosts. Then the hero thought that the challenge seemed too easy for a 5-star quest. As it turned out, his guess was confirmed. The danger increased, warning of a new, more powerful threat. The remaining spirits swirled together, merging into one formidable creature. Suddenly, a huge ghostly level 25 captain appeared on the deck, a real boss of the dungeon. The hero noted that with the appearance of this captain, he finally became at least a little interested. Suddenly, Ai rushed past her opponent, eager to be the first to enter the battle. The pirate shot at the insect girl with lightning speed, but her movements were even faster. Meanwhile, Tiana had already rushed to provide her with assistance from the air. Using her lightning, she knocked the gun out of the ghost pirate's hands. Meanwhile, Ai delivered a direct, powerful blow to the ghost captain. The Thunderbird chuckled and praised its rival's strength, which it reciprocated by noting the bird's impressive attack. Then Michael finally ordered them to work together against the ghost captain. At the command of the master, both beast girls launched a perfectly coordinated attack on the boss. Ai released her furious power and rushed forward with a furious melee strike. With one powerful kick, he sent the huge ghost boss flying back. At the same time, the Thunderbird accumulated a charge of energy and summoned a powerful thunderstorm from the sky. She unleashed an attack, engulfing the entire ghost ship in a lightning-fast explosion. A system notification confirmed their victory, but Michael noted with irritation that he had not received any experience due to the level cap. The girls had already celebrated their triumph, and Ai proudly took upon himself all the laurels of success. Michael smiled. This was their first successful operation together, and now he realized that their combined strength was much greater than he thought. Checking the quest log, he noted that the first part was completed, and now he needed to collect 3 rare materials. Now their path lay in the gloomy scarlet forest of flame. They quickly found one of the items, a glowing flower called the Wind's Eye, guarded by a pack of level 22 lizards. Michael chuckled, surprised that the second material had been found so quickly. Tiana offered to fly up and retrieve him, but Michael noted that the thick canopy made that too risky. Eager to prove herself, Ai enthusiastically volunteered to carry out the mission. As it turned out, 10 minutes ago Tiana had already obtained the first material from another group of lizards. She presented the glowing essence to the owner, causing obvious envy from her rival. Seeing her eagerness, Michael gave the green light to Aya, and she eagerly prepared for the mission. Without hesitation, she dove into the ground and began digging a path. Michael explained to the bird that Aya's true form was that of an ant, so there was nothing surprising about it. For her, digging the earth is a natural instinct, not just a skill. Soon, Aya emerged triumphantly from the tunnel, ready to climb the huge pine tree. While the lizards were distracted below, she began to climb towards the glowing object. When she was close to her goal, Michael reminded her to stay alert and not to celebrate too early. Ignoring the warning, Ai confidently plucked the glowing flower from the tree. But suddenly a powerful gust of wind threw her from the tree, and together with the flower they rolled down. The lizards below immediately growled, turning their attention to the beast girl. It was a trap. Ai landed hard, annoyed that the trap had revealed her position. Despite everything, she stood up and challenged a pack of furious lizards to a fight. Michael saw the hopeless situation of his beast and ordered Tiana to pull out the reckless girl. The bird instantly burst into battle at full speed, deftly maneuvering among the enemies. She grabbed the surprised Ai in midair and pulled her out of the danger zone just in time. Despite the beast girl's annoyance, Tiana explained that her master had ordered a retreat. She successfully returned her companion to Michael, who calmly assessed the successful completion of the task. The hero then smirked as he looked at the approaching horde. Now it was time for them to retreat. With angry lizards on their tails, the team ran away. As they ran, Michael checked his stats and realized that their current speed would not allow them to escape their pursuers. Acting quickly, he put all his remaining attribute points into one stat. He dropped 700 points into agility, receiving a powerful and long-awaited increase in speed. Now moving at incredible speed, he easily overtook the girls. With a smile, he told the animals to keep up, assuring them that they would be safe when they reached the area ahead. The girls looked at the owner with curiosity, trying to understand his plans. Approaching the wall of fire, the trio rushed straight into the blazing flames deep in the forest. Their pursuers suddenly stopped. The lizard leader ordered them not to cross the border of his territory. The chase suddenly stopped. All the lizards turned around and ran away, leaving the boys alone. Then the girls realized that the owner had brought them to this fiery area on purpose. Michael chuckled, explaining that this was the territory of the powerful fire lizards, beasts that no one dared touch. He said that the last item needed, the flame of the fire dragon, lies in the lair of the fire lizards. Then he urged his companions to go further, despite the fact that there was only lava ahead. They soon discovered their target, a group of level 22 lizards sleeping peacefully in the lava. Standing on the cliff, I pointed to the giant reptiles bathing in molten lava. Suddenly, Michael noticed a glowing object and realized that the open area was ideal for a quick aerial harvest. At that moment, an unexpected system notification offered a bonus quest in which you had to kill the leader of the lizards. The hero weighed the tempting reward against the risk of fighting a powerful leader and his entire pack. In the end, he decided to focus on the main task, putting off the bonus objective for later. He ordered Thunderbird to retrieve the item needed for the task, and it immediately took off into the air. Soon, Tiana proudly presented the find to her owner, who only grinned, realizing how easy it was to complete the task. With the last material in hand, his thoughts immediately returned to the lucrative side quest. But his eyes lit up as he sensed the presence of a hidden threat. Michael instinctively dodged the blow. The boys looked around in bewilderment when someone turned to Michael with a grin. Suddenly, a group of guys appeared in front of them, and their leader arrogantly demanded that they hand over the quest item. Michael asked with disdain what right this man had to demand his trophy. Lucius, a level 18 lightning mage and member of the Magic Association, smugly announced his status. But Michael knew perfectly well that this association was just a cover for a gang of bandits. As Lucius made his threats, his subordinates turned their attention to the two women behind Michael. Lucius's gaze flashed with greed, and his intentions shifted from the subject of the task to the women. He pointed at them, declaring that he would take both the find and Michael's companions. Michael called men trash and suggested that his companions eliminate them forever. Lucius was taken aback by such audacity, unable to understand where they got such confidence from. Enraged by the disrespect shown, he ordered his men to teach Michael a lesson. The men mockingly warned that they would break his arms and legs if he dared to disobey, but Michael remained completely unperturbed. Before the bandits could attack, his two companions simultaneously rushed forward, vowing to protect their master. With astonishing speed, they neutralized the entire group, scattering their opponents to the sides. Lucius, shocked, could not believe the power of the two women he was about to capture. Michael chuckled, formally introducing himself as a level 20 beast trainer scientist and explaining that both women were his beasts. Lucius, amazed, realized that Michael was controlling ancient beasts with unique transformation abilities. He decided to change tactics, confident that by wounding the owner he would be able to force the animals to retreat. Lucius then unleashed a powerful bolt of lightning, hoping to take advantage of the beastman's perceived weakness. But Thunderbird intercepted the bolt with one hand, coldly declaring that no one would dare touch its master. At that moment, the man noticed that something flashed right in front of his face. I rushed forward with fury, shocked that the enemy had decided to attack Michael. As she prepared to finish off the enemy, Michael calmly ordered that he be left alive, hinting that he had a plan for the prisoner. Soon, a tied-up Lucius tried to threaten retribution from his association, but Michael grabbed him by the hair and, feigning surprise, asked why they were fighting at all. His gaze turned ominous as he announced that he had a new task that he would need to help them with. Suddenly, a deafening cry of horror echoed throughout the canyon, awakening the sleeping fire lizards. The source of the scream turned out to be Lucius's men and himself, who were hung up as bait. Tiana held them over the lava pit, mockingly urging them to scream louder. In a panic, they begged for mercy, realizing the horrific fate Michael had planned for them. Their screams echoed throughout the canyon as they hung helplessly above the hungry lizards. Michael chuckled and explained to I that this was just part of a plan to lure out larger prey. When one of the lizards snapped its teeth near the captive's leg, the hero explained that they were just bait. Deciding to speed things up, Michael cut the rope, expecting to cause even more panic and noise. The men collapsed onto the rocks near the lava, and their screams attracted the lizards even closer. The hero watched from a safe distance as the fiery creatures began to surround the men. In a desperate attempt to save himself, Lucius released a powerful bolt of lightning. However, he did not harm the lizards. Their attacks were useless against the fire creatures. Suddenly, a huge lizard jumped high into the air, preparing to deliver a fatal blow to the men. Michael then calmly ordered Thunderbird to keep the prisoners safe, as their role had not yet been played. She complied, saving the captives from the lizards, but causing even more screaming, just as Michael had planned. The noise worked, and suddenly a huge beast, for which the bait was intended, burst out of the lava. It was a level 28 giant lizard, the Fire Lizard King. Michael then immediately ordered Thunderbird to engage the new enemy. She cleverly distracted the Lizard King, leading him away from the rest of the lizards. When I asked the owner about the fate of the captives, Michael replied that they were expendable and would not survive the onslaught. He noted that these were hardened criminals, and his companion agreed that they deserved such a fate. With the bait all decided, now the hero began the side quest. The battle of the Beast Girls with the Lizard King began.